This is literally how Caitlin Clark is getting suspended. She's driving to the basket.
We got Stephanie White subbing Caitlin Clark out unnecessarily. Then she subs Caitlin Clark back in with a bench unit that don't even...
How about this? Caitlin Clark getting a foul because of reasons?
My tech was for saying that, even though I heard the F-bomb the whole game. My tech was for saying that.
What if Caitlin Clark's controversial technical foul was about to cost her an entire game and then the WNBA itself decided that technical shouldn't have counted? During Indiana's win over Chicago, Clark was given what was described as her 8th technical foul that was a huge deal because reaching that threshold could trigger a 1-game suspension, putting her upcoming matchup against the New York Liberty in jeopardy. But the strangest part wasn't the suspension, it was why she received the technical in the first place. Clark was driving along the baseline when she was hit during the play, lost her balance, and eventually collided with an official. The officials viewed that moment one way. The footage led many viewers to see something completely different, and before we break down the footage, tell me your POV in the comments. Technical foul or no call? If you enjoy WNBA breakdowns where we go beyond the headline, subscribe because this story gets much more interesting once the league reviews the footage.
They called a technical foul on Caitlin Clark, which would have her suspended for next game versus the New York Liberty on this. She got fouled. She got bumped into the... They think what is that? What is that? First of all, you idiotic ref who probably should be collecting trash on Tuesdays and Thursdays or whichever day your trash men pick up your trash from your curb. First of all, if you would have called the first foul or the second foul, because she got bumped twice on that drive, which sent her into the baseline, which forced her to run into you. If you would have called one of the first 2 fouls, she would have never ran into you.
And that's the first detail that changes the story. Clark did make contact with the referee. Nobody is disputing that. The real question is what caused that contact. According to the argument being made here, Clark had already been bumped during the drive, which affected her movement and sent her toward the baseline. So the controversy isn't whether contact happened, it's whether that contact was intentional or simply the final result of a chaotic play. And then the stakes became much bigger, because this wasn't just another technical sitting on Clark's record, it was reportedly number 8.
One dribble, gets fouled by Tash Cloud, like leg-to-leg contact, gets fouled by Cloud, gets fouled again by Cloud, then gets kneed by Cloud, and then trips over, and then follows through into the referee, and then walks back, and then gets teed up. She got teed up for tripping and falling into the referee. She got fouled about 3 times on that drive. And she trips up, is trying to pass the ball to MHA, and succeeds in passing to MHA. And because she doesn't, in this space of time, while she's falling towards the referee, isn't able to get out of the referee's way, and eventually walks off. She got teed up.
The number 8 changed everything. An ordinary technical might be forgotten by the end of the night, but an 8th technical could mean a suspension and financial consequences so suddenly. A few seconds near the baseline could keep Clark out of Indiana's next major matchup. But then came an even more controversial detail. The explanation surrounding the play reportedly suggested that Clark had intentionally made contact with the official, including an alleged forearm or elbow, and that created a second question. If officials genuinely believed Clark intentionally struck an official, why did the incident result in a technical rather than an even more serious punishment? That contradiction became one of the biggest reasons the replay received so much attention.
That Caitlin elbowed her. That Caitlin elbowed her. That's what the referee said. Caitlin gave a little extra with her elbow, which is a straight ejection, no questions asked. How does the referee come to the conclusion that Caitlin Clark elbowed her, but it's only a tech? But it's only a tech. You know, oh, Caitlin, you elbowed a ref. This player elbowed me as a referee. Eject her. Caitlin did nothing, by the way. She did nothing. But if this is what the referee thinks happened, chuck her. Toss her. If you are a referee and you believe you are assaulted by a player, extending a forearm, She didn't.
Now
Look at
the
how. Look.
controversy had two competing versions. One interpretation says intentional contact with an official, the other says Clark was already off balance after contact from the defender and couldn't realistically avoid the referee. But there was another reason this game was generating so much discussion. The physicality wasn't limited to Clark's play. Another hard collision involving Sophie Cunningham became part of the game's aftermath, and that gives us an important comparison when judging how officials handled physical contact.
This. Here we go. Dejanay Carrington clotheslining Sophie Cunningham.
Face coming down, trying to prevent the layup, but that is just
right there.
A hard hit. That's
Sophie was not having it. You know Sophie, she ain't backing down. Sophie was ready to go. And you got Dejanay Carrington running to the threads. She didn't put this on Twitter, by the way.
Because physical contact by itself doesn't automatically prove intent, and that's exactly what Stephanie White later explained. She wasn't arguing that every hard foul should be ignored. She actually acknowledged that the Sophie Cunningham play was a hard foul and believed the officials made the correct call there. So the bigger issue wasn't whether the game was physical, it was whether the officials correctly determined intent in each situation. And when White was asked directly about Clark's technical, her answer revealed something the commentators couldn't provide. She had actually asked the officials what they believed Clark had done.
Yeah, she intentionally seeked out the official.
Did that, you were backwards to them? Did you even know they were there in that moment?
And through the forearm. That too.
Did you know they were there?
No.
Did they give
It's
you
really bad.
a different explanation of any kind?
No, that's
Gave
what I
us
was
the
told.
same
That's what I was told. Yeah.
What was your tech for the argument?
My tech was for saying that, even though I heard the F-bomb the whole game, my tech was for saying that, like, that's a bad call. That's a bad call. Incidental contact when you're flying out of control, like on it. And I thought her teammates should have come up and talked to her about that as well. Like, I think that's really bad. That happens all the time in the game. Officials have to have some awareness in those moments, and it didn't happen.
White's explanation made one thing clear: the Fever weren't simply complaining about a call they didn't like. They wanted the league to review what actually happened, and the appeal was already filed. That meant the decision had moved from the officials on the floor to the league office. But while that review was happening, Clark still had to finish the game, and her response was surprisingly calm.
And it didn't happen.
I presume you plan to appeal that one?
Yes.
It's already appealed. I just hope the league makes the right decision. Hopefully I can play on Tuesday. Wednesday, whatever day that is.
Instead of allowing the technical to completely change her approach, Clark focused on the next possession. She knew the situation mattered, but she also knew Indiana needed her, and that mentality mattered because she didn't disappear after the controversy. Clark finished with 26 points and 11 assists, while Kelsey Mitchell added 27 points. So while everyone outside the court was debating whether the referee had made the right decision, Clark was still producing on the floor.
With her in the way, it didn't matter. Caitlin Clark, 7 of 15 from the floor, 5 of 6 from 3, 7 of 10 from the free throw line. I would like you to shoot better from the free throw line. You did make 1 out of 2 late in the clutch when we were up 3. I would like for you to make your free throws, all of them. But hey, it is what it is. Caitlin Clark, 26 points, 11 assists, 4 rebounds. Complete domination. Complete domination. Okay, Kelsey Mitchell, 27 points on 11 of 22, 5 rebounds. Caitlin Clark dominated this game, okay? Michaela Timpson got her first start.
And Clark's own comments after the game added another layer. She acknowledged that Chicago had played a very physical game and that she still had to do a better job of staying under control. That is important because it shows the controversy wasn't simply about Clark refusing to accept physical play. She understood the game was physical. The real disagreement was over whether that physicality eventually turned into a technical foul. That shouldn't have been called.
They're a pretty physical defensive team, especially they're trying to defend you. How do you think you handled that today and have gotten better at that throughout the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a very physical game, and like I know I shot 10 free throws, but I felt like I could have got to the line a little bit more even, and I think just continued to play like under control. I think at times tonight I was still like a little sped up, a little fast, and I've been doing a lot better at that. And there was moments where I was still good in this game, but like get into their body, like use their physicality against them, just like still continuing to improve in that way and make it easier for me to finish around the rim. Obviously, I didn't finish great around the rim tonight, so can improve in that way.
So now the league had the footage, the appeal had been filed, and the stakes were clear. If the technical stayed, Clark could potentially miss the New York game. If it was overturned, the 8th technical would disappear. But there was one more complication. The referee's interpretation of the play was already being questioned publicly, and now everyone was waiting to see whether the league would agree with that interpretation or completely reverse it.
Basketball. How about this? Caitlin Clark getting a foul because of reasons? She got a technical foul for not a damn thing, folks. Not a damn thing. Momentum carried her into the ref. She brushed up against the ref. And let me keep it real. I'm going to keep it real. The DEI official, Rhodes
Then
said
came
it.
the development that changed everything. The WNBA reviewed the incident and ultimately rescinded Caitlin Clark's technical foul, and according to the reporting surrounding the incident, that reversal came less than 2 hours after the final buzzer. Think about what that means during the live game. The call appeared serious enough to potentially trigger a suspension after the league reviewed the footage. The technical was gone, so the first question was answered. Clark wasn't going to be suspended because of this technical. But now we get to the question that's even more interesting. What did the league see when it reviewed the footage that changed the outcome? Because the same play had produced two completely different conclusions.
Referees have been reffing this game. Like, Caitlin gets teed up for tripping, stumbling into a ref. Tash Cloud starts shouting at the bald referee, making a ball. Like, Tash Cloud was insulting the bald referee for being bald. And no tech. No tech. Like we're now at the stage where it's like, these refs lost complete control of the game, and that happens. In fairness, I'm so happy that they ejected Dejanay. Like,
and that's why this story doesn't end with Clark avoiding the suspension. The reversal solved the immediate problem, but it raised a much bigger question about officiating. Basketball happens incredibly fast. Players get bumped, lose balance, collide with officials, and sometimes everything happens in less than a second. The challenge is determining intent, and Stephanie White's comments about the Sophie Cunningham incident actually make this argument more balanced. She didn't say every physical play was bad officiating. She said that particular hard foul was correctly called. So the real question isn't whether physical basketball should be punished, it's whether the officials correctly identified what happened in that specific moment involving Clark.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a hard foul. I don't think that Dejanay intentionally came out to get her across the neck like she did, but it did happen, and I thought it was the right call. But, you know, one of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so I don't oppose the hard foul, but I also don't think that she intentionally went for the neck.
KK, you grabbed Sophie right after. What was your view of the play, and of course, why did you choose to do that?
I mean, just to protect her. That's it.
And that's what makes this controversy so difficult to dismiss. Caitlin Clark did make contact with the referee, but the league ultimately decided that the technical should not remain on her record. So the story went from a controversial collision, to an 8th technical, to a potential suspension, to an appeal, and finally to a complete reversal. The immediate danger is gone, but Clark is still close enough to the technical threshold that every future whistle could matter. And after this incident, any controversial contact involving Clark is likely to receive even more attention, because now there's a precedent. The footage can change the outcome. So after seeing the different angles, hearing the referee's reported explanation, listening to Stephanie White, and hearing Caitlin Clark herself, what's your verdict? Was this a legitimate technical foul, or did the WNBA ultimately prove that the original call went too far by rescinding it? Drop your POV in the comments, and if you want more WNBA stories where we break down the footage, the facts, and the twists behind the headlines, subscribe and stay tuned.